So after 3, we're about to start the webcast. 1, 2, 3.
Good afternoon, members. Welcome to Cabinet today at 3 p.m. Today is Tuesday, the 13th of April, 2021. Ramadan Mubarak to those who are fasting and to those who are going to be starting to fast tomorrow. Before we actually start, there's a few things I want to just talk about, namely around the tragic events that took place last Friday. Since the death of Prince Philip, His Royal Highness Duke of Edinburgh, this is the first council meeting that we're conducting, and it's only fitting that I say a few words. And after I say a few words, we'll go into a minute silence, and then if any of the members who are not part of the Cabinet want to say a few words, you'll be more than welcome to do so. So what I'm planning to do is talk on behalf of the Cabinet and the Council. I won't take long. As you know, the Mayor formally expressed his condolences to the sad loss of His Royal Highness Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, on behalf of the people of Kirklees. And he also did the same to Her Majesty the Queen. A book of condolences were opened across Kirklees, and I know many communities joined in and did the same. Flags were immediately put at half-mast, and they will still remain half-mast while we go through a period of mourning. Last Friday, obviously, was a sad occasion for the country, and that includes everybody in Kirklees. This Friday, as a mark of respect and commemoration and mourning, there will be a civic service that will be led by the Mayor. I will be there, and the Chief Executive will be there, and along with other colleagues. The service will also be broadcast live online, so anybody who wants to see the service will be able to do so. So we still are in a period of mourning. The funeral of the Prince, His Royal Highness Duke of Edinburgh, will take place on Saturday. But I think I just want to reflect on the great work he did and the impact he made and the decades of service he gave to his country. In excess of 80 years since when he joined the Navy, he served in the World War II, and the countless charities and movements he was engaged with, and I was amazed that number of movements and charities he was patron of. But yesterday I got an email from one of our ex-journalists from the Dewsbury Reporter, Margaret Watson, who actually shared a photograph of the royal family, the royal couple, visiting Batley. So, you know, he has touched many people over the many years that he was serving Queen and country. And it was really heartening that, you know, he actually did visit Batley all them years ago, and I'm sure he visited many other places throughout Kirklees and across West Yorkshire, throughout the country and indeed the world. And that's a remarkable accomplishment in terms of civic service to the nation. And that's where we actually, as councillors, take inspiration, because that's what we do, and that is something that we should all be proud of in terms of the work we do. And it's an exemplar of what His Royal Highness Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip did. So I hope the Queen can take some comfort from the kind words and the expressions of condolences the people of Kirklees offered. A genuine heartfelt tribute that were made towards Prince Philip. And over the past few days, I think the people of Kirklees shared sentiment, because he wasn't just a consort to the Queen. He wasn't just a prince. He was a husband. He was a loving husband, and he was also a dad to all his children. He was a granddad, and to many people, he built that personal friendship, and it is a sad loss. So I hope you can all join in a minute's silence. So I'll ask Richard to time the minute silence now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Is there any councillors other than the cabinet that wants to say a few words? Just type, speak, and I'll bring you in. Is there anybody? Can you see? No. No. Thank you very much, members. We'll go on to the first item on the agenda, membership of the cabinet. I can see we've got a full complement of cabinet members, and I can also see a few councillors who are attending the meeting. Welcome to you all. Item 2, minutes of previous meeting. Can I ask that they are the correct record, and can we agree them? Yes, I can see nods and hands. Thank you very much. Admission of the public. This is a meeting that is held in public. Because it is a meeting that is under PERDA, there is no public question time, so that item will not be on the agenda. Item 4, any declaration of interest. If you have any interest, members, please complete the form and email them over to Andrea, who will then take them and put them on record. We have a deputation from Victoria Harrington. So what I will do is I will now pass over to Andrea. In the meantime, we will all be muted, and then hopefully by some magic technology, Victoria will come on and do her 5-minute deputation. Is it, Andrea?
Yeah.
Okay, Andrea, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, members, I'm just going to mute the webcast while you dial in.
Thank you.
Hi, Victoria. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I'm Councillor Shabir Panda. I'm the leader of the council, and I also chair the cabinet. So as soon as I introduce you, you will have 5 minutes to do your deputation, and then I will hand over to Councillor Peter McBride, who will give you a response, and then hopefully, you know, that'll be the deputation. So you can start now, and Victoria.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Leader and Cabinet members. I live in Hetman Wyke, and I've been deputed by our local group, oppose the Hetman Wyke Railway development, to make this representation to the Cabinet. We request the Council to take all necessary measures to preserve a stretch of disused railway line in Hetman Wyke as soon as possible. The stretch of land comprises a deep railway cut built in the early 1900s, part of the Leeds new railway line. It adjoins a much-loved woodland owned by the council. The area is allocated green space. The railway cart runs between 2 bridges in Hetman Wyke, surrounded by residential housing. It has become a rewilded green open space full of wildlife, wildflowers and trees. Hetman Wyke is a congested, built-up area, and this is our main green open space. Families from all backgrounds and ethnicities visit the area from Hetman Wyke Centre. This stretch of land is a missing link that has prevented the joining of the railway line to form the ringway for decades. It's in private ownership. Sustrans owns the adjoining sections under the 2 bridges and has requested permission to join the link through the land. This was rejected by the succession of private owners who held the land. They sought to profit from dumping landfill on the land, destroying the land in the process. Once infilled, the ringway project and this wonderful part of the line is lost forever. We want this land to be used for the benefit of the town. We ask for measures to be taken to ensure the joining of the ringway and the preservation of the line. The land will provide a safe play area for the local children. Joining up the ringway is a project that the council can support for the benefit of the whole community. During the pandemic, the Greenway, formed from the other railway line on the other side of the valley, was full of people walking and cycling. This project enhances the walking, cycling and riding network for all, and the Ringway will provide the same benefit to the people on the north-east side of Hetman Wyke. It's accessible for small children with bikes without having to negotiate busy congested roads. It provides safe access to the Greenway for disabled people, families, walkers, horse riders and cyclists. It reconnects the community with the open spaces around us. It links our towns and it supports our physical and mental well-being. Many people don't realise what an extraordinary feat of Victorian engineering was involved. in creating a railway line running through the centre of Hetman Wyke. It's an important part of our industrial heritage. The wonderful original railway bridges, dug so deeply down that some have no idea they're there, emerge into the wide cut of land. What a fantastic way to regenerate Hetman Wyke. This project would involve so many disparate groups. There is such wide-ranging support. How can it be anything other than a community building project? The preservation of the line has the full support of Dun Valley Civic Society, the Kirklees Cycling Network, Trans, and a number of other cycling, riding and walking groups. At a local level, it accords with the priorities of the Kirklees local plan, where it's identified as a key walking and cycling route. The Ringway also provides a safe route for children to travel to the schools in Littletown and Hetman Wyke. Prior to the adoption of the local plan, the cutting was designated as both a green corridor and a pedestrian and cycling route in the Kirklees Unitary Development Plan. It can be seen to have been a priority for Kirklees Council for the past 20 years. All investments cost money. We're aware that this is an ambitious aim. However, measured against the funds that the council currently allocates to mental health, physical health, road safety measures and playgrounds, it will repay many times over, as did the Greenway. The Dewsbury Moor Country Park has been a wonderful Kirklees Council project for decades. This missing link would enable people from Hetman Wyke safe and easy access to enjoy the country park. Hetman Wyke needs this project. We have huge enthusiasm to support the council to protect the line, whatever it takes. Hetman Wyke needs more than improved traffic measures to regenerate the heart of the town. Hundreds of people actively support this project. People who turn out to campaign, clear rubbish, arrange petitions, put up notices.
You've got
Isn't
30
that the
seconds,
best way to involve
Victoria.
and encourage community cohesion across all communities, all faiths, all ages and abilities? What an opportunity to draw people together. We urge you to support us, to link up the Ringway and preserve this line and regenerate our town. The proposal fits exactly with the national agenda, prioritising the development of safe walking and cycling networks and the need to promote and sustain healthy lifestyle.
Thank you, Victoria. What I'll do is I'll now ask Peter McBride, but before I do, thank you very much. I'm sure all the concerns that you've said, there's many more, but unfortunately we only have 5 minutes for deputations. But I'm sure Peter McBride will provide a response to your deputation. Councillor Peter McBride. Peter, you're on mute. Can you unmute? We'll try and unmute from here, Peter. All right, can you hear you? Yeah, you can hear you. Peter, yeah.
Sorry for that technical consideration. Victoria, listen carefully to your point. Your points were very well made, and I agree, making better access for walking and cycling would be very desirable, both in terms of health and the quality of life. Apparently, we did try to buy the land on the open market unsuccessfully. Current offers are well above the market value, and the current proposed purchaser has an exclusive right for their bid to be considered at least until the middle of May. Should that fall through, we would come back in and make a further bid in an attempt to establish this land for the purpose that you would wish. But that issue is, as it were, still under consideration. So it is important to us. We would give it a priority, but obviously we've got to take note of the normal bidding procedures and the normal and allow this process to go through. As I say, if it does fall through, we can make further investigations, and certainly we will give it a sympathetic ear.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Peter McBride. Councillor Steve Hall, I think you've got your hand up, but what I will do is I'll bring you in first in Councillor's question time. That's where you will be able to provide your input regarding the Ringway, and any additional comments you wish to make, you can do. But I'll make sure I get you in first. Right, cheers, Steve. Thank you very much, and thank you, Victoria. Believe me, this is a very, very complicated issue, and I'm sure Steve Hall will have more to say later on when I give him the opportunity. we don't have any more deputations, so what we'll now do is move on to item 6. Item 6, there is no public question time, so we move on to item 7, which is questions by elected members. And the first question, I will invite Councillor Steve Hall. Steve, you got a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to put your camera on, Steve, as well, please, and then ask the question and we'll try and answer it.
Yeah, right. As a ward councillor in Hetmond Wyke, we've got the Spen Ring Way and we've got the Spen Green Way. We're only a small ward, but we've got a very, very high density of people. So in times like we're having now, to get out and exercise is extremely important. These two areas are vital for Hetmond Wyke, for Spen Valley people to get out and walk on. I'd just like to ask Cabinet, how important do they feel that having areas like this are, and how much would they like to preserve these areas and enhance them?
Councillor Peter McBride, can I bring you in, please?
Yes, of course. I've been acutely aware of the importance of the Greenway for many years, and I know it's a particular issue in Hetmond Wyke. I'm also aware that Hetmond Wyke is very densely developed, probably more than literally any ward anywhere in Kirklees, and it's a small ward. So if there is an opportunity to explore this possibility, I will certainly use this opportunity, hopefully fruitfully.
Thank you, Councillor Peter McBride. Naheed, you've got your hand up, but is it in response to Steve? Because Councillor Peter McBride responded, so I don't think there's a need to respond further. And once again, Steve, thanks very much for raising that question. And I think Peter McBride's response to Victoria and yourself, hopefully there's some light potentially at the end of the tunnel. But you're quite right, Steve. Hetmond Wyke is probably, well, actually is the most developed ward, most highly compacted ward in Kirklees, and we hear what you're saying, Steve, and thank you for coming to the meeting. Next question is Councillor Gwen Law. She's changed it from item 6 to item 7. Gwen, your question, please.
Yeah, thanks, Shabir. My agenda is numbered differently. Must have been yeah. It's like, oh, panic stations. Yeah,
no,
thank you. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My question is for Councillor Paul Davies. Hiya, Paul. Kirklees Council announced earlier the start of a brand new online festival that aims to give young people across the borough a voice in their climate emergency response with the wonderful Young People's Climate Festival. And this was taking place in March over a couple of days. Paul, it sounded really exciting when I read about it. And with children and young people being able to enter a series of virtual rooms where they could engage in discussions and activities and talks with contributors from a range of environmental organisations, sounded a fantastic event. Could you provide me with an update, please?
Yep, absolutely.
Councillor Paul Davies, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm so enthusiastic. I jumped in before Shabir even introduced me, and it's great, Gwen. You know, I can see the enthusiasm on your face and hear it in your voice. It's great to hear that enthusiasm for this event. You're right. It took place on the 23rd and 24th of March. It was online, clearly because of our COVID situation. Our voice team and children's services worked with, I think importantly, worked with young people to shape the actual website itself, so the Climate Change Youth Festival website. It wasn't just us within the council doing this, and I think you've already said, you know, it was about creating something which reflected their views, the images, the colour, the look and feel, so that it was something that our young people could engage with. We did obviously provide material from within the council, but also local environmental groups were involved. And I know my parish council, Home Valley, were certainly involved in providing some input as well, and also schools. And key objectives, I think we both said it, very much about engaging our young people in this extremely important area of work that we're doing, and wanting to hear from them as well what their thoughts were, but in particular how they can support us in moving to a greener and more sustainable future. So in terms of outcomes, I'm really pleased to report that we had a fantastic commitment from the primary schools, and well over 2,000 children took part over the 2 days. That was from schools in North and South. And on the first day of the festival, the sort of peak viewing, we actually reached 40 classes online at one point. So that was quite impressive. And I remember this was something that we did have to pull together at fairly short notice as well. Some 12 schools, and within those 1,000 pupils, were actually as well hand-delivered a variety of resources, which we created, which we used again to capture their thoughts and their feelings on this issue. But also, again, I said very importantly earlier on about the children's involvement. Some schools and classes chose their own way of recording their ideas. And for example, Linthwaite Arden Junior Infants planned to do an art installation in the school based on the work that we were doing online and working with them. And we've also sent out Microsoft form questionnaire to some of the older schools, to the older children in the high schools, to collate their feedback, because as I said, it was very much the primary schools that joined us, and we knew that was going to be the case as well. And we did connect with some of our children in care outside the area as well, and they took part. And certainly as part of this whole event, through the chat function, many of the teachers actually joined in the conversation, asking questions and actually making pledges about what they could do within the school. And some of these were fairly simple things, like making sure they turn off the whiteboard when not in use, and other pieces of equipment. But again, that engagement was important. So future approach and next steps. This isn't a one-off. It's a foundation to build on, and the festival stream remains live until the 12th of May. And then we're taking steps to secure the website and the content on a longer basis for future events. And we anticipate that it will be used by groups outside of school in terms of youth work, etc., to engage with the young people in the climate change debate. And we're very much looking to promote this content where we can going forward. The Our Voice team will actually bring all of the suggestions of the young people's suggestions together, and over the next few months we'll bring that together and collate that so that can be shared, both obviously within our own groups, but also importantly again across Kirklees, and particularly within schools and youth youth arenas. So as I said, I really emphasize that this is not standalone. This is a first step, and with regards to engaging with our young people, we're in the process of setting up our Climate Change Commission. We're still aiming for that to be up and running by the end of May, early June. And certainly what we're looking to do is ensure that there is a place there in terms of the commissioners for our young people, and that we find a way of engaging with the young people on that commission itself. So that's, I think, a quick update. I think remarkable job by the team that put it together, as said, at fairly short notice under difficult circumstances, and to say the least, pretty chuffed with the response. I think to have 2,000 children engage with this was pretty good. So thanks, Gwen, for raising this, and thanks for the enthusiasm. It's brilliant to hear it. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Paul. Gwen, you got a supplementary?
No, I just want to say thank you to Paul for that update. That was absolutely brilliant. And I can feel Paul's enthusiasm as well. Good man, good job.
Brilliant.
Thanks,
Brilliant.
Paul.
Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you, Gwen. Thanks, Paul. We've got a next question from Councillor Yusra Hussain. Yusra, got a question?
Yeah, my question is, around the support for businesses, and specifically for Councillor Paul Davies. I know that we've supported a lot of businesses during this COVID lockdown, but I would be keen to know how the council would providing support to businesses to help them out of lockdown. And am I able to ask another question for another portfolio holder, or do I wait?
Yeah,
my turn?
we'll go around, and if we've got time left, we'll come back.
Okay,
So one question at a time.
No.
I'm going to treat you the same way as I treated Martin Ball. So don't take it personally. But anyway, so we'll start with that question first. So Councillor Paul Davies.
Thanks, Abir, and thanks, Uzra. This one is quite a significant area and huge amount of work that's been going on and is continuing to go on and will at this present time and going into the next few months. So just I suppose a quick view on what we've done since the first lockdown and the original relaxation. Our public protection team, so environmental health and licensing, have been offering business advice and support to help them to become COVID secure. So that's always been the aim of what we're doing. We've had a dedicated email address for businesses to seek advice. And since we introduced that, the team have responded to, well, it's just under 1,300 requests. To be precise, is 1,271, if we want to be accurate, requests that they've received and responded to. So as you can tell, that in itself was quite significant. And in addition to responding to requests, what the team have done is specifically gone out to the various sectors and businesses with advice and guidance. That's included a whole range of things, which range from direct calls to all of the pubs, restaurants and cafe businesses offering food hygiene advice rather, and COVID secure advice, visiting, hospitality and non-essential retail in towns and village centres, mail shots, and also, and this one I think is very interesting, organising webinars to give out information and advise and share best practice. And we actually run what was a very successful manufacturing webinar in conjunction with Thornton and Ross and the Health and Safety Executive. And the whole range goes even to the extent where we issued a whole number of beer mats with safety messages on them as well. Obviously, for when the pubs were open and when people could go to them. And once again, that is the case. And what we've also been doing, I'll talk about this a little bit later, is making sure that we provide visits where we can as well. So our COVID community support officers have been very much going out, talking to people and talking to businesses. It's important to remember that during all of this, the compliance has still been a very important activity for the teams, and that's certainly been carried out during this on the normal compliance issues around hygiene and obviously around the COVID restrictions, and where necessary, enforcement actions have been taken. There's something that we've wanted to focus on is something we've called graduated enforcement, which means that instead of just going to the top in terms of hitting people hard, it's working with people in a preventative way, is education, information and partnership. And clearly that's worked very well because the vast majority of our businesses, there's certainly not been any issues at all within Kirklees. We have had some, and that then we've taken enforcement action. And I think most people know the one that stands out, and that's the Quinn Blakely hairdresser, which gained national attention and regional attention with the fact that the owner refused to accept advice in many visits, phone calls, letters, etc. And unfortunately, we take action. And what we did in that case, we took out an emergency injunction with the power of arrest from the courts. It was not something we wanted to do, but we had no choice in the end. One thing that came out of that was, apart from we were protecting our citizens through doing that, is that was actually something that was picked up nationally, and the team have been asked to speak at government and professional organisations in their webinars about that case and how we handled that. So, not something we want to do, but we have helped, I think, set up some good process. So where are we now? Things have opened up. What are we doing? We're making sure a business have access to testing, so asymptomatic testing. We were doing that previously for everybody over 11. Now we've been focusing on people who have to leave home to work and where there isn't workplace testing. That's going to be up certainly up until the end of June, maybe longer. Our infection prevention and control teams have been working very closely with businesses as well in this area. We're very fortunate. We've been able to recruit 75 community support officers, CCSOs, and these have been supporting us around a whole range of COVID-related tasks. 25 to 30 of these are working with public protection and licensing and environmental health, and they're working in the districts, and they're our ears and eyes, if you like, and a visible presence of the council. And I'm pretty confident that businesses are appreciating their support on the ground and having somebody who can give them advice and connect them into not just sort of the licensing, environmental health, but also areas such as financial support. When it comes to public houses, restaurants and cafes, obviously those are hitting the news at the moment. We have contacted, or the licensing environmental health team have contacted all pubs, restaurants and cafes and talked to them about how they're going to operate during this stage, step 2, and how they're looking to operate in stage 3 as well when there's further relaxations. And again, I'll emphasize working with them proactively around food hygiene, health and safety advice, and being COVID secure. In terms of the other businesses, the non-essential businesses, retail, gyms, what called close contact services, which would be things like nail bars and hairdressers, etc. We've actually purchased within the team some comprehensive data so that we can identify these businesses Kirklees, because that's not always easy. So that gives us a real opportunity then to contact them again, to work with them in partnership and provide them with advice and guidance. We're at the moment, we're ensuring that we will get certainly information out to them, either by leaflet or letter form or by contact through phone, etc. Then the industrial premises, as you all know, Kirklees is one of the areas within West Yorkshire and nationally really, with quite a high level of manufacturing, distribution and warehousing, which has given us challenges in terms of our infection rate because of the nature of the business. We've worked extremely carefully with those businesses, and actually the support model that we've put in place is now being used by many of the other authorities as a really good model, and they've taken on board some of the lessons that we've learned from earlier on in the pandemic. A recent offer that we're also done is our business support packs. We've created some support packs for our businesses across Kirklees. Within these packs, there's a whole range of things from face masks, hand gel, wipes, aprons, etc. These have been offered to faith settings, non-essential retail, hospitality, taxis, gyms, etc. And at the moment, we've also got some hubs open. So we deliver, but also we've got hubs where these can be picked up. So we have hubs open in Dewsbury, Cleckheaton, Holmfirth, Batley and Huddersfield. And as of yesterday, we've delivered 220 support packs to gyms and close contact services. 2,800 packs have been delivered out to taxi drivers. I think that's quite a remarkable number. And 657 packs have been collected from the hubs. And we've got another 540 due to be delivered to the close contact business services. We aim to keep those hubs open certainly this week in Cleckheaton and Huddersfield and Holmfirth as long as possible. And clearly we want to make sure as much as we can that we get a full coverage across Kirklees within the businesses. I think that gives you, I'm sorry to take the time on that, but I think important to understand the sort of breadth of what's going on. I think the team itself, a number of teams, not just one team, that have been working on this have done a fantastic job. I think the relationships they built with businesses have been positive, and where we've had to carry out enforcement action, it's been very small numbers and only where we've got no other choice. And I really think this is a way of developing, even better relationships going forward between the council and, very importantly, our businesses right across Kirklees. So thanks, Joseph, for giving me the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Very comprehensive, and it just shows how much work is actually taking place behind the scenes. So once again, thanks, Paul, to yourself and all the staff that work in your portfolio area. We've got next question from Councillor Fazila Lunat. Fazila, do you want to ask a question? Over to you.
Good afternoon, all. My question to the Cabinet is, although we are thankful for the recent highways funding that came in for the unadopted roads and highways, sadly in my ward, and I'm guessing as other wards as well, it's not gone far enough. We understand that this is the reason behind it is that we've not had enough money from the Tory-led government, but frankly, it's left our ward kind of really crippling. We have a rather long road, Warwick Road, which has been recognised as a road that's needing a full resurface. Because of the size of this particular road, the cost of resurfacing is over £600,000. Also includes that we need and recognise that it needs footways and curbing to be done. We don't have that kind of money at all to be able to do this. It's not been fair on the residents. It's not been fair on the local road users. It's not been fair on the residents that live on that particular street to have to endure the road itself crippling the way it is. What I'm asking for is some kind of assistance to see if you can commission helping us find a solution, because we have been doing patchwork for the last year or so, but we haven't got anywhere with this. So a commitment or some help to get a solution for this road would be really appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Fazila. I'll answer that question because I know the road you're talking about, and I know that as ward councillors, you have been inundated with emails, all three of you yourself, Councillor Habiban and Councillor Akhtar, and it is unfortunate because, as you said, the last 10 years has crippled this council as it has many other councils. This council in particular, to the tune of 200 million quid. So if we had that 200 million quid in our coffers, we'd be able to actually address the massive backlog, which accounts to £165 million. That's how much we need to actually get all our road infrastructure to a decent standard. And the maintenance, well, that's another story because we still need to maintain it. But having said that, I'm really pleased that this Cabinet and this Council once again put in the biggest ever investment plan in the history of Kirklees, to the tune of £600 million and additional £120 million for housing. And part of that includes £50 million investment to unclassified roads. And that's had to be divided across the whole of Kirklees because we have to make sure that we address all the issues and all the roads throughout Kirklees. But that still leaves, like in Batley East, many roads that need to be done. And you gave a really good example. Warwick Road alone, to actually get it done to a standard that is required, will cost around £600,000. And that is around the budget that has been allocated per ward to do their roads. Only thing I can do is, to say that, carry on working with officers in future years because they're the pipeline of schemes, they're the forward program that we'll be developing. The classified road scheme is a 3-year plan, and part of that 3-year plan you will have your own ward priorities, and working with officers you can see how you actually phase Warwick Road in terms of doing it in a number of phases where you can actually address the backlog that is so greatly needed. But as far as this cabinet is concerned, as far as our administration is concerned, priority in unclassified roads will remain as long as we are running this council, and there is light at the end of the tunnel for your residents, that we will carry on maintaining the roads. But at the current level, if we have a plan that goes over 3 years, investing £15 million, it will take a long time, looking at about 20 years, to make sure that we address the backlog, which equates to 165 million quid. Because next year, the roads that have been deteriorating will be deteriorating even further. So that backlog will always be getting bigger. So we are now starting to actually have an impact in making sure that we actually start to chip away. But I thank you for the questions that you have put forward to the cabinet. Have you got a supplementary, Fazila?
Thank you for that. Supplementary, perhaps, just I would need some support and guidance, I think, for all of our Bally's councillors, is because of the added pressures. The crippling of the road has become a 3-year plan. Even if there was some kind of commitment towards getting that done, possibly go a long way. But yes, thank you for that.
Yeah, like I said, right. Yeah, every single ward is in the similar situation to yours, because I get emails from all across Kirklees, from all the wards, and like Batley East, all the other 22 wards in our local authority are in a similar situation. And this is as a result of the austerity that's resulted in the massive backlog. We will keep on working with yourselves and other ward members to actually make sure that we do actually start to put the money in that's needed in budgets to come in the future years. Next question is to Councillor Habiban Zaman. Habiban, you got a question?
It's just a follow-up from what Fazila's asked, actually, and thank you, Shabir. You've answered it quite comprehensively, but I just wanted to kind of say that the residents are feeling quite neglected with this stretch of road, and with it not getting resurfaced in the coming years. We're mindful that it is. Sorry. We're mindful that it is a main route between Bradford Road, sort of Town Street, Taylor Street, and many heavy goods vehicles are travelling along this area on a daily basis. And more recently, there's a number of new businesses that have sprung up, and we're getting complaints from businesses about heavy sort of vehicles travelling on that road. There's a school on that road. They've also got a masjid which is just like 100 yards from there as well. So it is being so overused, and I'd appreciate maybe conversations with officers so that we can bring this road a bit sort of nearer to getting done rather than more than a 3-year wait.
Yeah, well, like I said, ward members have a budget that is allocated to them, and you will have a list of schemes that have been prioritised by officers based on the condition of the road. Ward members have got flexibility in how they prioritise that road scheme. So I would ask you to look at the road schemes again that you have prioritised. If you want to reprioritise the roads, right, you can do. But I suspect, like, you've had your question. Let me finish, please. So basically, based on the priorities, right, you've done that, and like many other wards, many other cabinet members on this call, right, yeah, we have been through the same dilemma. There is this many roads to do, but we've got that much money. So how do we divvy it up? Yeah, every single ward, and again, the report that was approved just a couple of months ago, unclassified roads. I can ask somebody to send it on to you. But that road, that report is very, very clear that on average, each ward is allocated the same amount of money, and then with officers, ward members will be working up the schemes. But I think the one thing I'd like to say is I think you have done your residents proud, both you and Fazila, because you've brought that issue to cabinet. You've had a very transparent and open response. We will continue to invest in unclassified roads, plus more over the coming years. But we can only do what we can within the given set amount of resources. And if there's any other funding streams that come available, because what we have had in previous years, I don't think you were elected, was a pot of money that we had from rollover, which meant that we had a few million that was rolled over, and we invested that into the highways capital plan. And ward members were consulted, and the ward members that came forward were then given an opportunity to enable a scheme to come forward, and some more did get that. But again, it wasn't a massive amount of money. It was only enough to probably, if you were looking at Warwick Road, it would have probably been enough to do probably a fifth of Warwick Road from that money, because it wasn't massive amounts of money. But the issues you raise, I think one thing you can do is explain to your residents that you and Fazila came to the cabinet very eloquently. You raised the issue. I gave a full and honest and open, transparent response. And one of the things that we have to do is make sure that we communicate that back. What we will do is we will continue to argue the case for Kirklees. There's already been some representations that have been made, because you probably remember the pothole funding that the government allocated. That's been cut. And also there is more financial restraints that are going to be imposed on local authorities as we move forward. And that is one of the reasons why we've actually put in the biggest ever investment plan since 1974. Is that enough? No, it isn't enough. Can we do more? Yes, we can. It's all subject to what national government gives us in terms of finances, because our grant is getting cut day by day. Have you got supplementary, Fazila? Sorry, Habiban? Got supplementary? Sorry,
it was just more of a comment, really, that I appreciate everything that you're doing, and but if we the allocated budget, if we just put that onto this road, then we've got no money for any of the other roads and any of the footpaths and that. So that's fine. Thank you. Absolutely, and that is something that is as a result of 10 years of austerity, and we're trying to put that money back in. Time's up, but what I'll do is, because I'm the chair, I can actually exercise some discretion, and I have done that. I'm not just doing it because it's my own members, because I've done it in the past, right at the beginning. So seeing though this is the last cabinet meeting, I will allow my good councillor friend, Councillor Afak Butt, to ask a question. Afak, over to you.
Chair, I'm not sure he's on. He's had trouble getting online. He was on, and he appears to have disappeared again.
There.
Thank you. I have to say, my IT system leaves a lot to be desired. So thank you very much. No, thank you very much for that. So my question is to Councillor Sarat Khan, is just looking at the access to the outdoors and sustainable travel, and especially as it's been highlighted during the COVID lockdown as to how valuable health and well-being is. And if I could possibly ask the supplementary together, is that okay, or do I have to wait?
Well, no, just ask your first question, and I'll if you want a supplementary, then I'll give you a supplementary. So that's fine. So, but you don't know what the supplementary is going to be, but Muz hasn't even answered yet, has she? So anyway, go on back.
So yeah, so my question to the cabinet member is just the views on exercise and the access to the outdoors and sustainable travel, particularly as it's been highlighted during COVID lockdowns, and how valuable is the health and well-being of our local population.
Councillor Muskan, over to you.
Thank you, Councillor Butt and Councillor Shabir Panda. Access to the outdoors and exercise is invaluable to physical and mental health. Nationally, 2/3 of the adult population is overweight or obese, and the figures in Kirklees match this national picture. We know that those who are overweight or have underlying health conditions are more likely to suffer from serious consequences as a result of COVID infection. And recent research is showing that during the pandemic period, 50% of people are exercising more and 50% are exercising less. Now, last year in February, the Marmot Review published its 10 years on paper, And this compared to the health outcomes since 2010, and the health outcomes for people in deprived areas, it showed that it was already worsening, and this is prior to the pandemic, and the pandemic has further exacerbated these poor outcomes. And COVID, we know, that has impacted disproportionately on more deprived communities for a number of reasons linked to existing inequalities, likelihood of exposure to the virus, and existing poor health conditions that lead to more serious outcomes as a result of the infection. And the fact that the healthy life expectancy for women in most deprived areas is 52, and that's the age that people are living to before they have one or two major illnesses, is an unsustainable situation in terms of pressures on services like the NHS and adult social care, but also in terms of quality of life for individuals and their families. Women's are still predominantly the caregivers for children and elderly people. So it's in all our best in our best interests to commit to tackling this disparity in health. And in this context of worsening health outcomes, it's important that we focus on creating environments where the healthy choice is the easy choice, and create opportunities for exercise, access to natural green space, particularly in urban areas where we're seeing the poorer health needs, and enhance walking and cycling routes across the whole borough. So the work of the Kirklees Healthy Weight strategy is continued alongside active Kirklees strategy, and the delivery of the walking and cycling strategy is progressing. And we've commissioned CAL, Kirklees Active Leisure, to look at facilitating community-based exercise and activity with the understanding that not everyone would want to access a leisure centre for exercise. And they will focus on communities where the uptake of gym membership is lower than. And the council has invested over 9 million in playable spaces, and work is progressing to improve access for play opportunities. And the town centre blueprint includes improved outdoor spaces and very much is person-centred. I believe also that monies have been devolved down to the place-based partnership to support community-based exercise opportunities. However, we also need to tackle other wider determinants of health, such as deprivation, low income and poor housing, which have meant poorer health and reduced quality of life and early death for many people. It's vital for us to act now and drive forward work programmes that reduce inequalities, prevent poor health and improve people's opportunities for better health in the future.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Afa, you got a supplementary?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Councillor Khan, for a comprehensive reply. That was really good. I guess the supplementary would be about, the Cabinet's heard the deputation about the Ringway and how important it is to local people. Will the Cabinet look at ways in which this could be enhanced and preserved? And I guess it's about access to the Ringway and that being important.
I think this comes under.
But yeah, I think because we have run out of time. But I don't know if you heard, but Peter gave a very good response to Victoria, who came earlier on with a deputation, and also along with your colleague Steve Hall, who also raised a very important issue. And Peter did say that at the moment there is a process ongoing. In terms of somebody procuring that piece of land, there will be a window of opportunity sometime around mid-May where we may be able to actually do something. We hear you and your ward colleagues loud and clear. And one of the things we did say very clearly, which we acknowledge, is Hickman Wyke is the most developed ward in Kirklees, and we do need to actually look at how we can make sure that the thing that Mus talked about, we do try and maximise on the well-being side of the equation on people. So we hear what you're saying, and thank you for bringing the issue forward.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you, and thank you to all the councillors who brought the questions, excellent questions, and we will keep on trying to do our best as we always do. And once again, thank you very much. Okay, we must move on. Item 8 is community asset transfer, Manor Gardens off Manor Way, Staincliffe, Batley. Can I invite Councillor Graham Turner to present the report? Graham, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. This report seeks Cabinet approval to community asset transfer Manor Gardens to the Ham Dam Foundation. This is a great example of how community can work together to make a real difference to their local area and community. Those who will know this bit of land will know that it had of no particular value and no specific use. But over recent years, the Ham Dam Foundation have worked really hard to make this space into something they can be really proud of. Not only are they delivering great outcomes which will help improve the health and well-being of the area, but they're doing great things that should encourage more long-term health benefits as well. The inward investment of £106,000 is also a testament to the hard work and commitment of the Ham Dam Group, and it's hoped that a further investment of £180k will be secured shortly. This is very much a deprived area, and therefore the work of the foundation in developing the site and securing its long-term future is something they should be rightly proud of. Chair, this is a great project and does so much for the area in which it's situated. I am more than happy to ask Cabinet to approve this transfer, and I would like to wish the Ham Dam Foundation all the best for the future and look forward to seeing how they can develop the site even more in the future.
Councillor Pandor, your microphone's muted.
Right, sorry about that. I was muted. My hands are here. I've got no control. I'm being controlled by somebody else, Richard. Anyway, right. Thank you very much, Councillor Graham Turner. I'd like to second that report, but I've got Councillor Gwenlow, Councillor Yusra Hussain, and Councillor Habiban Zaman in that order who wants to speak. I'm assuming in favour of this report, and then we'll go for the vote. So, Gwen, over to you first.
Oh, thanks, Shabir. Thank you, Councillor Graham Turner, for your lovely words there. Yeah, obviously I want to speak in support of this asset transfer, if I may.
Yes.
Just a little bit of background. Many years ago, a gentleman actually sat in my front room and talked of his passion for the community and that he wanted to contribute something. He wanted to give something back. So I can actually remember Feroz Syed first approaching me many years ago with this vision. So I'm very aware of the great work that is done here, and I'm very happy to continue, obviously, supporting them. It's a great community team here, which has been driven by and with Feroz's passion and love for this emerging project, of which he has never faltered. It ticks many boxes to help combat loneliness and isolation, helping tackle stress and mental health issues, inclusive to all, no matter how old or young. And I've also tasted the amazing produce here and joined in their many community gatherings. And I just want to say thank you again to Feroz and his wonderful volunteers and team. And as Graham said, they've turned a grot spot into a beauty spot. It's an amazing community place to visit, by the way, and I will continue supporting it, and I hope that you will too. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen, for your excellent contribution. Councillor Yusra Hussain, do you want to speak on this? Are you there? Are you on mute?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm muting myself. So yeah, I want to speak in favour of this. And just to say it as well, the Ham Dam project is obviously located in my ward, and I was very pleased to note that they're moving forward with this project and wanting to request for asset transfer. The project actively promotes public health, learning and social inclusion through gardening and horticultural activities. And it goes without saying, Councillor Khan touched upon it as well, about the health issues in the area. And its research evidence shows that individuals or families from poorer socioeconomic backgrounds, it does actually dictate your dietary choices, your lifestyle and your health outcomes. So this project actually improves those issues that we are trying to tackle, and it's a space where people can learn how to grow their own produce. And I have tasted some really fantastic produce from there. I've also attended a lot of events that they've held for the community pre-COVID, and also it actually provides its produce to the local food bank as well, and it works with many partners in the community. Today, I know that some of them, the funding that they have applied for, they are in the process of trying to acquire. However, I'm also consciously aware that in order for them to access those funding and become a self-sustainable project, that they need to acquire this lease as well. I guess what I would like to say is I am in support of it, and I'm really glad to hear that the Cabinet is also in support of this project that provides the space for people to learn a lot about gardening projects, but also to help promote their health and well-being generally. And I look forward for the project going further and further and providing and becoming an integral part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Yusuf Hussain. Councillor Habiban Zaman, do you want to speak? Habiban, are you there?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, I am here. Thank you, Shabir. I also want to support I also want to speak in support of the Hamdan Foundation. I've known the organisation since its inception. I worked with them as a council officer, and I've worked with them as a volunteering councillor. I've seen how Firoza's small idea from just sort of discussing it with local volunteers has grown into a huge project, from plant it, grow it, eat it, to clearing an overgrown grot spot. And now they've got a very successful community garden, which they're serving fresh produce to the local community of Staincliffe and the wider community. The two polytunnels that they've invested in has been fantastic, and they've experimented with some of the unknown sort of vegetables that are around, like ladyfinger, bitter gourd. They have actually tried to plant those, and the experiments that they've gone through and encouraged local volunteers and residents to get involved has actually changed lifestyles. So I am really excited that we are giving them an asset transfer, or we're proposing to give them an asset transfer, which will further involve local community and improve the gardening skills, involve people with different abilities and disabilities, including those recovering from stroke, heart disease, blind, partially sighted, early dementia, and those with other disabilities like mental health issues since COVID. And this would be a fantastic space for them to meet outdoor in a socially distanced way and connect with others, as well as with the ground and nature. Yusra has actually mentioned that there have been several studies around horticultural therapy, and again, this project is fantastic because it's going to help manage some of the stress and promote relaxation and social interaction with people of different abilities and disabilities. I support the asset transfer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, all three of you, and Councillor Habiban at the end. This actually falls in my ward as well, and I don't want to repeat what Gwen and Yusra and Habiban said, but I'll put a different perspective on things, because this project came about because a lot of the residents who live around there, it's a very compact council estate. A lot of properties have been bought out, but it was a haven for antisocial behaviour. Young kids making dens, which I didn't have a problem with, but then at night what was happening was all sorts of stuff were going on, and then eventually the dens were put on fire. The privets that were overlooking the plot we're talking about were put on fire. A couple of residents who lived on their conifers went up in flames. So you can imagine, many years ago this was a nightmare, and the valuation of the houses and the areas was just sort of going down into rack and ruin, and that spiral of decline can easily take hold of a community and just make the whole area run down. But then, like Gwen said, Firoz popped up from nowhere. I think he was still in Germany and he moved over. And many of you will have probably met him, Firoz, from Batley and Spen. He's a great guy, very diligent, very quiet, very passionate and very committed, and you know, his values are enshrined in the community, because you know that's what he's about. So from the ashes of all this comes out this brilliant project right here that he actually then sustains, and not just that, but it's not just Feroz. He's got a team of volunteers that work there, and every year they have you know, in summer they have barbecues and little festivals, and you know, the mayor's been there and all sorts of people have been there, and it's really, really great. And I just wish that, you know, we can do more of this. But I think it's not just down to Feroz, because one thing about Feroz, although he's a lot older than me, he's always open for new ideas, and I think one of the ideas he got from was from actually Kathy, your idea, Chickenley, because you probably remember know more in detail, but you've got some growing gardens in Chickenley, and he went there with his group of people, looked at the polytunnels, came back, spoke to me and Gwen, because it was me and Gwen, and then with Peter, who was no longer with us, and he said, look, I've got some great ideas. So it's not just that he just went and did it, he actually went out, looked at other areas, Chickenley for one that comes into mind, and I think he went to other parts of the Yorkshire as well, and he then came and actually made it happen in his area. And I'm really pleased that, you know, Graham's worked with him, and you know, we're here today actually, you know, celebrating this really great new story. So, you know, I'd once again second this, and can we go for the vote, Andrea? I don't think there's anyone else that wants to speak. So Andrea, can you take us through the roll call, please?
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Pandor.
4.
Councillor Davis.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
He's a mute, Pete.
4. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Pretty muted. 4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
And Councillor Turner.
4.
That's carried, Chair. Thank you.
Brilliant. Item 9, 2021 Council Capital Plan proposed allocation of 2021 capital funding for the Director of Children's Achieve and Aspire baseline section of the capital plan. So is that Councillor Patterson, are you moving this?
Yes, I am moving it, Chair. I just want to say, I mean, this is an annual report, slightly different this year, and I'll explain why. But this report identifies all the potential projects, and they're identified in appendices A and B of the report, which will be funded from the capital maintenance section of the capital plan of the Achieve and Aspire capital maintenance section for 21-22. I mean, this is to address urgent needs and a maintenance programme for schools, and to ask for delegated powers for officers to manage the programme within its budget envelope. And this is the difference this year compared to other years, but it is in line with all other aspects of our capital plan, that we are asking that there should be delegated powers to officers who having consulted with the relevant portfolio holder in the cabinet to move monies around so that we can make best use of the money within that capital plan, because as everyone knows, I mean, there are always things changing within capital projects. Things slip, or some things become more urgent, and there is a need to move to be able to move quickly, rather than to come back to the cabinet asking for delegated to asking for approval to change the capital plan. So we're asking for delegated powers, which I say is a bit different, and we're also asking members of the cabinet to authorise the delegated powers for officers to allocate funding from the basic needs and send baselines to individual schemes as they are developed. I mean, that is the other issue at the moment, of course. I mean, feasibility work has been undertaken, and there's a lot of preparatory work has been done to develop a robust programme for all the different schemes that are identified. But as I say, there's always changes that happen, especially at these particular times, with perhaps building materials not being available when necessary, school closures being necessitated, which obviously, given the state that schools have had to work under over the last year. We don't want to close schools, particularly to do any emergency work. So we need to have a bit more flexibility within the capital programme. So that's what this report does. As I say, there's the projects and the business case are identified at Appendix A and B. We're also asking that there is the authorisation of the allocation of additional high needs provisional grant to Southgate, Huntley High and Ravensall schools, and the use of delegated authority to align any unallocated funds from the grant to project level, and to authorise the allocation of the annual 500k basic need baseline grant funding for 2021-22 to named projects yet to be determined for secondary school place need. That is all I would wish to say on this particular report. I hope you will support the officer's recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Viv, are you going to second that?
I will do it. I'm very happy to, Chair.
Thank you. Anybody, any comments or questions? I think Carol gave us a comprehensive understanding of the report, so I can't see anybody's hands up. So, Andrea, can you please take us through the roll call, please?
Yeah, Councillor Pandor.
4.
Councillor Davis.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
Councillor Turner.
4.
And carried, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, members. That's been approved. We go to item 10, proposal for a place-based integrated early support offer for children, young people and families, family hubs. So can I invite Councillor Viv Kendrick? Viv?
Thank you very much, Shabir. This report uses the working title of family hubs. I can assure colleagues that that name will be changed, and if you've read the report, there are some suggestions for alternatives. A paper came to Cabinet in December last year about proposal for early help offer for children and young people, and officers were asked to undertake a programme of engagement activity, which really is the meat in this report, really, about that engagement activity and the outcomes from it. I have to say, having to do an engagement activity in the middle of a COVID lockdown is more than a bit challenging, but children's services like challenges, and I think they rose to this challenge really effectively with a whole range of different ways of engaging, whether it was virtual meetings, online provision, information going out to food banks and so on. And for me, one of the delightful things was to have 84 young people respond and engage with this. I think is quite outstanding. You know, it isn't often we make that sort of response. In all, over 500 responses. And it really addresses a lot of the issues. The report contains a whole range of what would be on offer, both general, universal services and specialist. And I know some people have approached me, and I see within the report in some of the responses it was about people's concerns. Shouldn't the investment just be in specialist provision? But actually, this is about going upstream and providing things at an early point so that problems and big issues for families, children and young people don't develop later. It's about early intervention. The report here on page 71 at point 9, it has the recommendation, colleagues, and I would ask colleagues to approve the proposals and to agree to progress the implementation phase of this model. It does talk about the change of potentially the name of the project. It will be overseen by the Children's Ambition Board, and I think we have to congratulate our officers within the service for doing such a fantastic and sterling job. I would recommend this to colleagues for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Viv. I've got, before I bring cabinet members in, I've got non-cabinet members who want to speak. So, Gwen, you had your hand up, Councillor Gwen Lowe. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Shabir. It's just a quick question to Councillor Viv Kendrick. Can I just say as well, congratulations to Viv and all the council officers on working on this. I think this is really, really good news for the council. I think it's really, really exciting. I'm glad you said that the word hub, that they're thinking of a new. Oh, I've raised this with officers many a time. This word is so overworked. It really is. We need a fresh name for this. Viv, can I just ask you? A lot of people see the 4 area hubs. Forgive me for using that word, and they possibly are thinking that all the services and activities will actually take place in these hubs rather than other local community sites being developed. Could you just kindly clarify where other people would access the services? Please?
Yeah,
Thank
I think
you.
that's a really good question, and it is an issue on a lot of people's minds. The 4 areas are really for administrative purposes, for planning purposes. The idea is to deliver as much in terms of service and activities at a local level as possible. So it won't be in traditional necessarily council buildings, but we'll be looking at community buildings and spaces to really deliver things at a very local level that will be very accessible for people. I think somewhere in the report, I think in one of the responses, somebody raises that issue, and there's quite a comprehensive response on that. But it is, I'm not saying that no services will ever be delivered at one of the hubs, forgive me for using that word too, but in general the idea is to get things out at a local level and to have a local level approach to this. What works for local people, where is best, where's accessible, and build it up that way. It's very much the approach that's been adopted by the service. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Lowe. I can't see any other councillors wanting to speak, so I'll bring Councillor Paul Davis and then Councillor Carol Patterson. So, Paul, over to you.
Yep, thanks, Rabia. I'd really like to sort of commend and congratulate the approach this, and in terms of engaging with people, I think sometimes people are quite dismissive of the approach of consultation and engagement, and sort of swipe it aside, saying, that means nothing. It's a nonsense. Well, here in the middle of very difficult circumstances, as Viv said, I think this is, a really good response. I think to have young people in there as well, bringing in their views, tremendous, and it really does show our commitment as an administration to working with our citizens and listening to them as well, and incorporating their views. The early intervention side is, I'm as Viv knows, I'm passionate about. I think this is it, Viv, isn't it? If we've realised and we've known this has been a gap and something that we've got to fill. You see the misery, that's incurred when we're not able to provide that support, where we see, people's life chances just completely diminished. Families sort of, if you like, lost in the wilderness, not understanding how to help themselves, and our young people in particular, coming through school and growing up with that lack of self-esteem and confidence that we want them to have, and certainly that equality of opportunity. So for me, this is clearly essential, and I agree. I understand somebody's comments about the specialist advice, and we know that it would be great to have the money to do that. But if we can do this preventative work, I think we can see so many of our young people blossom, and not just our young people, obviously, but the families to have fuller and better lives. So this is fantastic. I think it's a great start. I'm also not fond of the word hub, so it's good to see we've got suggestions. We may be having, in a few years' time, we may be having a discussion about the new name and saying we're sick of hearing whatever this new name is. We need another new name. So
Yeah.
whatever that is. But no, congratulations, Viv, and to the team on this. I think this is a great breakthrough, and really look forward to this getting in place. And I'll certainly be supporting, no problem at all.
Thank you, Paul. Councillor Carol Patterson, and I'm assuming that you're going to second it as well.
Yes, thank you, Leader. I will second this, and in doing so, I really welcome these Kirklees Integrated Family Services. I'm trying to avoid the word. It absolutely has to, that word has to be abandoned, because it just does not describe the service that we're talking about at all. All these services are not particularly actually physically based anywhere other than with local people and where they're obviously where the need is. But it's not any one particular building or any one particular service. And I am so pleased as well to see how thorough not just this engagement has been. It's not just that we've got some really good responses. I mean, especially as we've said, including the number of young people themselves that have actually responded. It has been such a thorough job of work done by the officers. I just have to applaud them for it, especially in these difficult times, or perhaps even because of difficult times, because it's given us different ways to actually get to people and to enable them to actually speak or respond to our questions. But the thing about the thoroughness of this engagement means that we can be totally assured that we're doing the right thing from the 1st of April. Well, from the 1st of April, already in place. That we're really doing the right thing in terms of this new service, and that we can be assured that what is really, really needed, again, as Councillor Paul Davis said, is that early intervention. I really, really look forward to seeing the outcomes of that, and I really do think it'll benefit obviously the individual children or young people and their families, as Paul said, but also the communities that they live in, and that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing in the next few years. So I very much welcome this report and the provision of this service going forward. And as I say, I will second it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think before we go for the vote, there's just a few observations from myself. Firstly, I think the word hub. I think you all nearly mentioned that it's been overused, and I think Viv saw that at the outset, because I agree. It's simply like project board or the word board. How many times, is it board, is it exec board, is it project board? And I think the word hub, right, is very similar. But it'll be a challenge to find a new name. But whatever you do, don't call it a satellite, because I think that's been overused as well. But anyway, I'm sure you'll find the right one. The other thing, which is actually something that I need to touch on, is that this is all to do with our journey towards excellence around children's services. Because remember, we have that broad understanding that our aim and objective is no child will get left behind and every child matters, and this is so important in terms of all the hard work that's been put in here. And this is our journey toward excellence and journey toward becoming outstanding children's services, and I'm really, really pleased that we're continuing that journey on, despite the fact that we've been taken out of special measures and we're doing a lot of great work. It's really good that each time I see a report like this that actually adds that extra next step, add that next extra milestone, show that we have got that focus, which is so right. And I can see that there's a number of officers here as well that have been working in the background to actually get this report here. So once again, I'd like to thank them all for all the hard work they've put in. And like you all said, and I think Carol said in the background, that whilst we've been in lockdown in the pandemic, the work hasn't stopped, and that's gave them some time to actually reflect, look at what we're doing, engage with all our young people, and hopefully once the lockdown is eased and we get back to some kind of normality, it'll be all hands on deck. And let's look at the next milestone in terms of how we can actually improve even further. So once again, Viv, thank you very much for the excellent report and all the officers that you work with. So Andrea, can we now go for the roll call, please?
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Pandor.
4.
Councillor Davis.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
Councillor Turner.
4.
It's carried then, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We go on to item 11 now, which is Red House investment proposals. Before we take that report on, can I just take it that we've all read the private report, item 13, so that we don't have to go into private session and come back. Thank you very much, members. So, Councillor Graham Turner, please, can you move this report and
Yep.
tell us what it's about? Thanks.
Yep, so Chair, thank you. So the first line's been done by you. So Chair, this is a really exciting project and it's something of a bit of a departure now. So we can no longer afford to keep due to the cuts in local government budgets and for buildings which we have no real strategic need for. It's important that we recognise that this project has been a challenge due to its complexity and its historical links with the Brontes. But the officers have worked really, really hard in an imaginative way to get us to this point. And I must thank the Friends of Red House who have worked with us to develop this report, the report you see before you today, and also the ward members who have been fully supportive of what we are trying to achieve. It's been a genuine partnership that has got us to the point where we can bring today's report to Cabinet. It's a great example of doing with and not to. And I'm sure that this will be a great success and will pave the way forward on how we deal with similar buildings in the future. I suspect that other local authorities will be keeping a keen eye on this, as it's truly groundbreaking for a local authority to develop this type of project. This investment will secure a listed building and ensure that it has a long-term future. As important being a public building, it will remain in the public ownership of the council, so it's protecting the building in the public realm. It will also have a positive impact on the local economy and will help local businesses as they start to recover from the current economic downturn. It's a real invest to regenerate scheme. It demonstrates this Cabinet's desire to invest in our people and our places in whatever part of Kirklees they are. It's not often that I get to develop something that I find truly exciting and innovative as most of my camera roles with facts and figures, but I do think this is an exciting opportunity to do something radical and different. Chair, I ask Cabinet to approve this report and approve this capital investment.
Thank you, Councillor Graham Turner. We've got David Hall, who can't be with us today, Councillor David Hall, who's one of the ward members and also the leader of the Conservative group. But what I've agreed with Andrea is he's sent some comments in. So Andrea, can you please read his comments out? Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Hall has emailed, I'm sorry I can't attend the meeting this afternoon to support this proposal for the Red House. I'd like to thank Councillor Turner and the officers concerned for taking the time to come up with this imaginative solution for the use of the house, and I hope that it will be very successful. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor David Hall, for them excellent supportive comments to the point. And I'd just like to say thank you from myself to the ward councillors who have been excellent and really supportive of this, and also to the Friends of Red House Museum, and not just the Friends of Red House Museum, but I can remember a few years ago, when we were talking about disposing of this asset, and one of the away days that the Cabinet had, I don't know who was on the Cabinet then, I think it was Kathleen, probably Peter, and Viv. Okay, so at least half the Cabinet were there, and it was a really fantastic building, really nice part of the Kirklees, you know, God's own country, because, you know, you had a farm and rural and urban, everything mixed, and then we hit a brick wall, didn't we, when the cuts came in, and we started talking about disposing of valuable assets like the one we're talking about now, which we are going to rescue. It's part of our heritage, and Charlotte Bronte, from looking at the report, actually stayed here, and it's really heartening that on the back of the recovery, we're talking about bringing this asset back in to use. I think that, you know, there's going to be a news bounce in Kirklees, and not just Kirklees, but in West Yorkshire, because if we can actually get a package of heritage sites, assets like this across the council that can link into the West Yorkshire offer, the Welcome to Yorkshire and all the tourism stuff, I think people will appreciate more as we come out of the pandemic what we have got in front of our eyes. Last 12 months have been very challenging. You know, we've probably, most of us stayed in our own homes. We might have been out for a walk nearby. You know, people who have got gardens might have enjoyed the gardens. But by bringing stuff like this back in, it will actually put so much back in to our community, to our local society, you know, to venues. Because at the moment, I know that there's a mad rush to book venues for parties, weddings, events, and I think this is a positive story, and I think that this is the right move to make, and I'm really pleased that we have actually got a plan of investment that just looks at the whole of Kirklees to bring it forward. So I'm really pleased to second this report. Can we now go for the vote? Andrea, do you want to take us through the roll call, please?
Thanks. Councillor Pandor.
4.
Councillor Davis.
4.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
And Councillor Turner.
4.
Thank you, Chair. That's carried.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the proceedings for this meeting, and also the last meeting of this municipal year. So I thank you all for all the hard work you put in, all the officers for all the hard work they put in, and all the stakeholders, communities, friends of groups, young people who have engaged with us. And without all the stakeholders, we would not have been able to achieve half the stuff that we've achieved. So once again, I think you can all be proud of yourselves. The last 12 months as a cabinet has been very, very challenging. We've not seen each other as a team. So hopefully by hopefully by June, things will start to get to normal. So at least, you know, I'm looking forward to actually having a social get together, to be honest with you guys, because, you know, you've been excellent. And all the best for the next few weeks. And I'll speak to you soon. And once again, thank you to all the officers. Good night, and God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Right, bye. See you all later.
Bye.
Bye.